and welcome to Out of the Darkroom on Adorama TV. I'm Ruth Medjber and today I'm bringing you part one of a two-part special. In these episodes I'm going to be talking you through the process of setting up an exhibition of your own photography work. Exhibitions are an amazing creative way of bringing your work to the public. For so long, photographers spend their days posting images to Facebook and the internet, and this work can kind of go a bit unnoticed, or it's a bit temporary or transient. When it comes to printing out your images and displaying it on a wall, you really get a sense of the work that you do. It's also really important to interact with the public, to see how they perceive your work, to take on board any criticisms, whether they be positive or negative, and then you can learn from it. It's a great way of just leveling up your photography skills. I recently launched my own solo exhibition called Women of Notes. In it, I featured portraits of 12 of the best female musicians we have here in Ireland. I did it for many reasons. Firstly, I guess I was looking for a project to really sink my teeth into, something to do on a daily basis. I needed a bit of a challenge. And then another reason was that I felt like in Ireland we needed to highlight or make visible all these amazing female musicians that we have there, as previously they were going a bit unnoticed, and I just wanted to level those playing fields a bit. There's a lot of work that goes into organising a project like this. With any portrait project, you need people. And to me, this is sometimes the most daunting part of the project, because it's the first time that you're putting your idea out there. You're looking for collaborators to work with, and it's the first opportunity that they can come back to you and say, actually, we don't really like your idea. So it's really nerve-wracking. Thankfully, that wasn't the case with this project. How I first started was I compiled a wish list, a list of the best women in Ireland that I would like to work with. Now, I chose those women based on personal taste. I really wanted to like their music, to actively listen to their music, because I was going to have to work with them on quite an intimate and close level. So it really helped that I enjoyed the process too. So once I drew up my wish list, I then started to contact them. Just like contacting anybody in the media, whether it be photo editors, band managers, gig promoters, etc., it's really not as hard as people make it out to be. All you have to do is put a little bit of time, effort and research into finding contact details. Now, email addresses and phone numbers are readily available online. You just have to look for them. So it's really not that difficult. Once I had the contact details for everybody on my wish list, I then composed an email. I just set out a brief outline of what the project was. I included a few sample images so that they knew I was of a certain level, and then I kept it quite informal but yet polite and professional, which is how I kind of handle most of my media emails. Once I had that ready, I sent it out into the world, and then instantly you found that a lot of the women I asked to be involved in the project said yes. A lot of the time though, you'll find that you won't deal with these women directly because obviously they're out touring or they're busy, musician schedules, so they'll have their managers contact me back. Exhibitions are not cheap. There are so many expenses to consider. You've got the shoots themselves, whether you're buying in props, you've got your assistance fee, you've got studio hire, you have so many expenses, even installation fees, printing fees. And then when you're having a launch party, which I would suggest that you do for your exhibition, you've got to cover costs such as entertainment, which in my case was the band. Maybe you're having a wine and cheese reception, or even if you're hiring in another photographer or videographer to capture the event for you. All of these costs add up. There is a couple of ways of paying for this show though. You could dig deep into your own pockets, pay for it all yourself, but if you do that, you'd probably be looking to recoup those fees by selling the artwork at your show. Now, this might only make financial sense if you're presenting something that's going to sell really well, that people want to hang in their homes. For me though, this wasn't an option, as my show is a strictly not-for-profit exhibit. Another route you can go down is applying for arts grants. Sometimes your local council will set aside a budget for the year in which to fund the arts in your area. This can be a little bit tricky to apply for these grants, as sometimes there's a lot of red tape on application forms, which makes it a bit of a painful process. Another option for photographers is corporate sponsorship. This is applying to big brands and looking for a financial help from them. To be honest though, you're going to need a non-political idea, you're going to need to be shooting something that's really positive and something that a big brand is going to want to be associated with, which sometimes can be a little bit tricky when you want to be a fine art photographer. For me though, this is by no means my main source of income. I shot this part of the project within 6 weeks while still running my portrait studio and covering gigs for the mainstream media. It's very rare that you're going to find a full-time fine art photographer. Making the selections for your exhibition is crucial. You need to choose images that not only work well on their own, but work really well as part of a collection. Remember that your viewer is coming into your exhibition space and seeing all of this work together as a complete set. This might mean that you might choose the second best image from one of your shoots as opposed to the greatest because you don't want to have too many similar images on the wall, otherwise it might get a little bit boring for the viewer. Nor do you want one image that completely stands out and overshadows the rest of them. This brings me on to curation and installation. Too many photographers these days live in an only digital world. They never actually physically print things out. One of the things I love to do is print out my images on an inkjet printer, just an everyday household printer, stick them up on the wall and live with them for like a week or 2 weeks. That way you'll know if you're really happy with the image and that you will be so proud to hang it up in your exhibition. There are so many ways of printing your images. You can go a traditional route and print and frame them. You could go a more contemporary way and print and mount onto acrylic or a dye bond base. You could even think outside the box a little bit and present your images through TV screens or projectors. You could even print out onto posters and paste them directly to the walls. Or how about light boxes? I personally think that photographs look amazing through light boxes if you have a dark enough exhibition space. To be honest though, if you're thinking of having your own exhibition, you really need to be out there in different galleries and museums and taking notes about how other people are presenting their work, drawing inspiration from that, and then having your own plan. For me, I really would have loved to have printed this project and framed it. However, time was not on my side, so I chose for the quicker option. Now, thankfully, my amazing printer printed these on matte finish and mounted them onto acrylic in less than a day. Now, the reason I chose a matte finish as opposed to gloss was because I knew that the space that these were going to be exhibited in was very, very bright, had a lot of mixed sources of light, and also the opposite wall was quite cluttered. Now, the images have a lot of black in them, so what that would have meant was that the opposite wall would have reflected so much in the blacks of the images, meaning that it was quite difficult to see the subject. Now, if you just print on matte instead, it eliminates all of that. There's really no point in having a big exhibition if nobody knows about it. That's why promotion and marketing is key. Now, the quickest way to get the word about that you're having a show is using social media, creating Facebook events, things like that. But what you can also do is draw up a press release and send it out to the local press. All you have to do is design a simple Word document outlining the show, a little bit about what you're doing, the event details, that kind of thing, include some sample images and send it off to every newspaper and magazine and blogger that you know. You'll be really amazed at how much interest this will generate in your opening. This exhibition was just part one of a 3-part series. I'm going to have 2 more exhibitions this year. Now, a big job for me is proving to my future sponsors and future gallery directors that I can draw a crowd for my exhibition. Now, to create a bit of a buzz about the show, I hired in one of the featured musicians to come and play a secret show on the launch party. Now, this probably wouldn't be standard practice for a photography exhibition to have a band playing in the corner, but considering the topic of the show, I thought I could work with it, and it actually worked out really well. Another way of proving to everybody that the show was a big success was to hire a videographer and a photographer to capture everything that went on. I kind of knew that I'd be too busy to do it all myself, and it really paid off so well. Just having all the documentation and looking back and just seeing the proof of all your work. There's so much more that goes into organising an exhibition that I really can't fit it all into one episode. So subscribe to the Adorama YouTube channel because I'm going to be bringing you part 2 of this episode, in which I'm going to go into greater detail about the shooting process behind each image. In the meantime, if you'd like to brush up on your own photography skills, then check out the Adorama Learning Centre. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you again soon.